Hi there, Facebook land. It's Rob Flux here from Property Developer Network. This is Tony Meredith.
Hello.
And this is Sunil Manil. And we have just finished the Psychology of Property Development event here in Melbourne. We're currently sitting here in the Virgin Lounge. Poor Sunil is actually flying Qantas, but he's come to get the free dinner at the Virgin Lounge. I guess courtesy of Tony and myself. And our regular frequent flyer statuses. I guess our topic tonight is all about having property development as a side hustle. But before we get there, we've had, I guess, quite a big weekend with the Psychology of Property Development weekend. Sunil has been chief button pusher doing the videography in the back end. Sunil's actually from our Sydney group, from our Sydney community, and flown all the way here to Melbourne to try and help us out for the weekend. Second time you've actually sat the event, Sunil?
Yes. First time last year.
First time last year. So, first time last year you got a number of, I guess, epiphanies that came out of the process.
Yep.
So you want to tell our crowd what some of those epiphanies were?
It kind of cleared the way for my limiting beliefs. I was already on a journey on property development, had a site, and we were working through getting the DA and progressing to construction. But I think it was at the time where we were in the middle of the market downturn, and we were at crossroads whether to sell the site at a loss or continue. But it was also, I know it's off topic, we talk about property development as a hustle, side hustle, but that was my main gig, and I was in desperate need to find other deals, other sites. But part of my limiting beliefs at that point was I couldn't find money partners or JV partners, or I didn't know how to approach them and ask for money. I think it was more cultural setback from my side. But working through that weekend, I met a few JV partners and money partners at the event who want to now do deals with me and go into JVs. So it was huge, and I think this weekend was a realization. As part of that, I've shifted from one full-time job to property development as another job, and I need to change that mindset and look at it as a vehicle to get me what's more valuable is time with family and doing things that I love and enjoy. Not that I don't love property development, I love it, and I love helping people that's on the similar journey.
And apologies for the announcements in the background. As I said, we're actually in the Virgin Lounge and having, I guess, flights being announced over the top of us all the time. But I guess you had that epiphany last time, and we were just talking literally a couple of seconds ago about the new epiphany you had this time, which is strangely on topic for tonight's topic. So tonight's topic is having property development as a side hustle, and we spoke very in much detail about actually turning it into a business during, I guess, the weekend.
The weekend, yes.
And what was your epiphany out of that, mate?
I guess from my perspective, I looked at it as another job. You know, I didn't look at it as a vehicle to get me to where my goals are, which is ultimately having that time to spend with the family, which you miss out when you got a day job as a corporate world. Now I work from home and I'm getting that time, but I'm still looking at property development as another job, which I think this weekend was a realization that I need to change that mindset and look at it as how I'm going to set myself free from that and using the development as side hustle.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can see a lot of people that are coming on board and they're all saying hi, so I'll say hi back to most of them. So we got Vanessa, we got Scott, we've got Deborah. Deborah, who spent the whole weekend with us, is back on live. So hi, Deb. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We got Rado. We got Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Emily is saying hi. Got Jason. We got Matt Campbell. We got Adrian. We got Ray. We got Noel, and a couple of others whose name isn't whizzing past. So I guess at this point I'm going to bring this gentleman into the conversation.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Tony. How are you?
Hello,
mate?
Rob. How you going? Hello, Sunil. Long time no see.
Long time no see. Big weekend, mate. I guess
Huge.
we had I think 30 people in the room.
Correct.
Which for Melbourne, when we tried to run the exact same event last year, we had one person. And that person, I guess, unfortunately, we can't run an entire event on one person, not unless it's an extraordinary price ticket. So thankfully, they actually came to us in Brisbane that time round. But as a result of that, that's kind of made us bring our community down to Melbourne, and that's our monthly network meetup every single month now. Next month, I guess just for logistics purposes, Tony is actually going to run the show here in Melbourne rather than me. My daughter is turning 18 and I need to be a responsible parent and I guess look after an 18-year-old who may be in all sorts of array at that stage, I'm sure. So
I've always wanted to be your stunt double, Rob, so I'm so excited about being able to achieve that objective in October. Hello, Emily. She's saying hello to me. So hello, how are you? It's a shame you weren't here this weekend, but we'll look forward to seeing you in October. Look, we had an amazing couple of days, didn't we? So it's a real privilege for us to be able to see people come in on a Saturday morning of a 2-day event, a bit unsure around what is in store for them, a little bit of trepidation, and to see them then start to embrace the program, warm into the program, and really grow. And by the time they leave, they're all feeling inspired and ready to get out there and take some action. And it's a real privilege for me, and I know it is for you as well, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. And we spent quite a bit of time over the weekend on, I guess, the two sides of entry. So one is the mindset to actually unlock some of those limiting beliefs and actually get them to be taking the action. And we also get them trying to work on developing their strategy and actually building a roadmap to try and do that roadmap to get a financial freedom through a 5-year property action plan. And so that's a daunting task to try and take on in 2 days.
Yeah, it is.
And so for some, they grasp the concept really well. For others, they've got the concept and the framework, and they've got some homework to do to actually complete. But I guess the whole intent of that outcome is really the theme of tonight, which is, I guess, having property development as a side hustle. And that's where most of, I guess, the people who come, I guess, into our community actually start, is they have a day job and they start with property development in a part-time type capacity. And typically it's somewhere between 10 and 15 hours a week. And so it's how do we, I guess, get them to get to the point where that side hustle is actually getting to the point where it can actually earn as much money as their day job. And then when they've done that a couple of times and done that in a repeated fashion, built up a little bit of a nest egg, how they can then turn that into a day job. And then when they turn, as Sunil has just touched on, so Sunil, that has what he has actually done, and then take that one step further and then say, how do we now turn that into, I guess, a business that is going to generate us passive cash flow. And so it's a staged process in the mechanism. And most of us start with that side hustle in mind. And apologies, you should see how wide these chairs are. They are so, and so I don't think we can fit all three of us in at the same time.
Yes, we can. There we go.
And my wife is Facebook messaging me on the side, so I'm just going to throw that away. Sorry, darling, I'm just going to ignore you for now. I will touch base very soon, I promise. So I guess with that side hustle in mind, a lot of people find that really daunting right up front because they don't have the skills, they don't have the confidence, they don't have the time. And so a lot of the mechanisms that we need to do to unlock that right up front is firstly, how do we find the time? And Tony, you and I give our guys a time audit for them to go through and unlock a bunch of time that is always there, but they don't realise is there. So maybe you want to touch on that a little.
Well, I'd actually go a step before that, and that is, why do they want to do it in the first place? So it's not easy. It's not easy having a full-time day job, juggling family responsibilities. If you don't have a family, but you might be juggling social responsibilities, and then trying to come up with, as you said, say 10 to 15 hours. Why is it important? Why is it that you want to do it? So that would be the very first place that I'd start and get really deeply connected with that. And we go through a process. The process is not our process. It's one that we've copied from somewhere else. It's called Ikigai. It's spelt Ikigai, and it's Japanese for reason for being. And so we take the students through that over the weekend, and that's all about understanding what's your why, what's your reason for being. That's the starting point. From there, it's about then starting to understand what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want? What do you think you can get from property development? And then, as you said, it's about recognising what amount of time or how much time have I got to devote to this. And there's two things with time. One is quantity, that is how much time do I have? And the second is quality, that is with the time that I've got, am I maximising it to its fullest potential? And so yeah, they're the two things that people need to consider.
Absolutely. And with regards to the quality side of things, and I can see a couple of other people coming on and come whizzing past, but Daniel, I just saw, has just jumped on as well.
Hello, mate.
So we just spent 2 days with Daniel as well, so thanks, mate. Appreciate you coming back. But we've got Russell and Alex and Noel and Michael and everyone saying hello, so thank you, folks. With regards to the quality side of things, it's all about, I guess, setting an action plan with regards to what are the goals that I want to actually achieve, what is the end point that I've got in mind, and then working backwards to say, what are the actual tasks that I need to do today that are going to take me towards that plan. And many of us have this scattergun approach where we know that we need to do something and we don't know what the something is, and so we take action, but it's not the right action because it's not actually targeted, not actually focused.
It's not focused, exactly.
Yeah, so it sounds like you wanted to say something there, Sunil. So
It is. It's about taking action. It's about time and how you utilize that time. So you can be busy and not productive. And I think it's important because if you're not focused, if you don't know what your strategies, you don't, like we talked about this weekend, is choosing your suburbs, choosing your council, choosing the suburbs. Within that, you're going to be trying to learn many different suburbs and the rules associated with that. And you may be making progress, but it's going to take you that much longer to get to that point. If you drill it down, streamline it, choose your council, choose your suburb, focus on what your strategy is, and then work backwards what your goals is, understand what your why and what's driving you to go down that path. And I think the other key thing is you're not on this journey alone. There's lots of people within the community that you can leverage and move forward.
So I can see Daniel saying lovely things about our course. So anyone who hasn't done the 2-day course, make it a must. You won't be let down. So thank you, mate. We we greatly appreciate that. Tony and I are very chuffed to hear those sorts of comments from, especially when we've bombarded you with nearly 20 hours of content over the last 2 days, and here you are at 8 o'clock at night jumping back on and saying lovely things about us. So thank you, mate. That's greatly appreciated.
And this is why we do it. Let's be honest. This is why we do it. We want to help people move forward, and it's such a thrill, such a privilege for us to be able to be with you. We recognise that not just Daniel, that all the people that were there, whether it be in Melbourne or in Sydney or in Brisbane, it's 2 full days out of their lives, and people could be doing a whole range of other things. So it's such a privilege for us. We take it very seriously, and we give our all. And as we're sitting here on a Sunday evening, we're exhausted. But it's been an amazing couple of days. So.
Refueling?
Yes, correct. He is refueling. Oh my goodness, what's Deborah saying here, mate?
So Deborah has said some lovely words. So hi guys, be very interesting for me to look back in about a year's time, or 6 months, or 3 months, or 1 month, depending upon how the plan goes forward. So she's paying attention to actually building that plan. So thank you. As I think what is possible of a life-changing event for me. Thanks, Rob, Tony, and Sunil for all your insights and support. Really looking to the journey to come. No rah-rah and lots of reality.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Deborah. And we're looking forward to seeing your progress as well, because this is only the start. And so now it's about what do you choose to do. We spent a lot of time yesterday afternoon talking about choice and decisions, and what are the choices, what are the decisions that you're going to make to move forward to progress towards your goals. So, and I know you're going to do exceptionally well, and it's going to be challenges. We all have challenges. Your journey in property development is going to be like that, but again, come back to why you're doing it, what are you doing it for, and stay focused, believe that you can achieve it, and you will.
So, momentum, absolutely. And probably the most important thing when you're starting out doing property development, I guess, as a part-time gig or as a side hustle, is to treat it as a business. Even though you are only putting a part-time effort in from a time perspective, you need to put a full-time effort in from a regards to the professionalism that you actually apply to the task. So that means understand your strengths and weaknesses and find ways to plug that. It might be that you're going to find someone to mentor you, might be someone you're going to find to coach you, might be you're going to do a course, might be that you joint venture with someone who's actually done it before, but you need to actually find ways to say, well, where am I strong, where am I weak, and what are the things that I need to plug, and when do I need to plug it? So just in time effort, you've got a limited amount of time on your hands, and so there is no point learning tasks that are at the end of the journey at the start when you haven't even gotten over your first roadmap.
Correct.
So if you don't know how to acquire the property in the first place, there's no point learning the plan sealing process or the project management process at the very, very end.
No.
And I think a lot of people get very overwhelmed with the sheer amount of tasks that need to be learnt, rather than actually looking at, well, it's just one piece after one piece after one piece.
Slaying that first brick.
That's it. Yeah.
So Neil just touched on it. One of the videos that we play on the weekend is Will Smith, who got a lesson in life very early from his parents, where they said to him, the analogy was, you don't set out to build a wall, okay? What you do is you set out to lay the most perfect brick that you can lay at this point in time. And if you lay that brick perfectly, then you just lay the next brick perfectly, and then the next brick perfectly, and eventually you have a wall.
Exactly, and I think it is about if you're focusing on the walls at the start of it, it's your anxiety and you're anxious and you're overwhelmed with the task ahead. But if you just focus on, I'm there to lay one brick, and you start with that mindset, the rest falls into place, and it happens naturally. You know, you're not looking at how big a task ahead of you is. It's how each brick is going to contribute towards the final goal of achieving the wall.
And the very first brick that needs to be laid, in my humble opinion, is choosing what your development strategy is, because that informs almost every other decision that you make along the way. And if you haven't determined what your development strategy is, then you're trying to lay multiple bricks in multiple directions, and some of them are vertical and some of them are horizontal, and your wall just isn't going to stand up.
It's not going to have that strength.
You want to lay the foundations very well. You want to understand what that development strategy is, and I guess lay that platform so that you can then go from there.
Exactly.
And then after you've got that development strategy, it's then trying to work out, well, where is that development strategy likely to work? So it's every strategy works, folks. There are thousands of them out there, and they all work, but they don't work everywhere. And so if you choose a strategy, doesn't matter if it's subdivisions, townhouses, it doesn't matter if it's unit complexes, if it rents per room, every one of those strategies work, but they don't work in the same spot. So once you've chosen it, reverse engineer the areas that you're trying to farm and see whether or not there's any evidence of other people having done that, any evidence of their success. Don't be a pioneer. So I'm just trying to see if anyone is talking to us. No questions coming through, folks. We've got some relatively limited time, given that we're waiting for a plane, and so I guess we encourage you to actually ask questions on the topic tonight, which is property development as a side hustle. Any questions that you've got in regards to that? It takes a minute or so for you to type the question and us to see that, but you've got three champions here to answer your question. So you can aim it at me, you can aim it at Saddle, you can aim it at Tony, or you can just aim it at us in general. So looks like Tony's going to say something profound.
No, well, yes, I will. But the other thing we didn't finish off before was talking about the whole time side of things. So one of the pre-work that we get the students to do is a time audit. And again, because you've got a day job, you need to maximise the time that you've got, and you need to challenge yourself. How are you really spending your time? When you go through an audit, it's an opportunity for truth, and you're only lying to yourself if you're not truthful. And it's all around how much time are you spending on social media, how much time are you spending watching television, how much time are you spending procrastinating or fluffing around and doing other things. you need to ascertain where you're currently at. And so this is all about elevating things into your conscious. It's not till you go through a process of an audit that you go, I wasn't aware that I was spending 5 hours a day watching television. Quite often you can just get into the zone and then time will slip away from you. So it's about recognising where are those areas that you can tighten up on things. You've still got to go do your job. You're still going to have family time. You're still going to have to travel and those other things. But there is ample time within your day, within your week, that you can spend on this, but you need to audit where you're currently at.
And for anyone who's wanting a copy of that time audit spreadsheet, if you want to, stick your details in the comments and just say, please send time audit,
yes,
or
please.
something like that, we will reach out to you and get that to you in a jiffy.
Hello, Cameron. Cameron Price.
Cam,
dialing in from
Cam's
Sydney.
on.
Hello,
mate. I guess trying to think of some other epiphanies that came out of the weekend that apply to the topic in particular. But
what it comes to is limiting beliefs. So let's have a chat about limiting beliefs. So you need to believe that you can do this. You need to believe that you can make the transition into being a successful property developer away from your 9 to 5, your 8 to 4, your 8 to 5, whatever it might be. And a lot of the things that come up are around our parents have this limiting belief or belief that we should stay safe, that we shouldn't go and challenge the status quo. And so some of us are battling that. We're battling those that are closest to us, saying, why do you want to go and risk it? Property development's a risky game. You're going to go and lose all your money. Why wouldn't you just sit there and stay safe in your job? And again, that's why it comes back to why you want to do it, what are you wanting to do? Because you're going to have people around you who are going to challenge you, who are going to potentially try and keep you down, and you need to work your way through that. And that's not easy. It's not easy to have those sorts of conversations with those that love you dearly. It's challenging, but again, you've got to recognise that this is your life, it's your goal, it's your journey, and these are the things that you need to do in order to achieve your own goal, which I believe ultimately is about your own happiness.
Yeah, agreed. And with regards to the side hustle in particular, if we come back a little bit back to the topic at hand, one of the first things that we want to do is try to get to the point where that side hustle job can at least replicate the income that we get from our day job. Okay, so don't want anyone to consider that they should be leaving their day job until their side hustle is at least duplicating that. And preferably I want you to have duplicated it twice. Okay, if you can do that twice, one, you've proven that it's not a fluke. Two, that I guess you're building a nest egg that's going to make that worthwhile. And if you've duplicated it twice, you've now got a nest egg that's sitting there that should you pull the pin at work, you've now got 2 years worth of wages sitting in the kitty. That means that you've got time on your hands to then make it work, I guess, at the point where you go full time. And if you're doing 10 or 15 hours a week part-time and able to duplicate your day job, imagine what you can do when you do 40 hours plus the original 15 hours that you had, right? So you're now doing 55 hours. Imagine how successful you can be when you transition from that part-time gig to the full-time gig. 100%. I guess the average Australian wage is about $80,000, and I'm going to say there are very few projects that aren't going to generate that sort of money, and some of them will generate a heck of a lot more. So it's very, very achievable. Tony's just given us
No, that's okay. So we've got a comment here.
Absolutely, we do. But Tony was just giving me a time check because we're only a few minutes from being called for boarding. So Sunil has to run. Sunil has to go to the Qantas terminal. I guess he's
Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney based and going in separate directions. So he's just here for the free feed. So
I think Qantas flight delay offered me the opportunity to go on the live.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, mate. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for all those that attended this weekend. It was great meeting you, and I hope you keep that momentum going and surround yourself with like-minded people, and you'll achieve great things.
Absolutely.
Thank you, mate. Thank you, mate.
All good.
Talk soon.
So it's back to the Rob and Tony show. So Deb has said the Will Smith video on fear was also mind-altering. So think he might be my new hero. Enjoy the skydiving, Tony. So Um,
shit.
let's just keep it on coming up, mate. The fear of calling yourself a property developer versus the current situation is very real, and that's, I guess, quite enlightening, Deborah, because most of us are actually afraid to tell people that we are property developers. Even when you're doing it part-time, until you believe in you, nobody else is going to believe in you. And when you start telling people that you are property developers, then that's a public accountability, and then people start to ask you about property, and that kind of reinforces the fact that you need to keep going forward. So that's the first part. And the second part is that it actually opens all these serendipity conversations. When people know that you are into property, then they start talking property too, and that's when you find out that Joe down the road happens to be selling his house, because nobody would mention it if they didn't think you're interested in property. So, it's serendipity, but you're putting yourself in that situation for that to actually occur. So, thank you, Deb. Noel's also got some comments here. So, Noel says, yes, could I please have a copy of the time audit sheet? Absolutely, Noel. It's coming your way, mate. So,
and the other piece too with what Deb was saying, it's around the affirmations. So that is, be careful what you say to yourself, because your mind is listening. So for you to be a property developer, you want to tell yourself that you're a property developer, and you want to affirm that on a daily basis, as in fact multiple times per day. The more that you say it, the more that you say it, the more that you start to believe it. And when you believe it, as you said, it becomes real. But it starts with your own belief. You need to say these things over and over again. Baz is dialed in.
So,
Hello, Baz.
Bahir, Baz, how are you, mate?
Hello, mate.
So it's another
Long time no see.
another one of the the students from the weekend that I guess they clearly haven't had enough of us. We either we did that good a job, or maybe they're addicted. I don't know.
Yeah, and we did promote that we're going to be on too. So a little bit of spruiking, but look, I mean, a lot of the guys and girls in the weekend want to leave their day job. So why wouldn't they want to come on to a topic which talks about the side hustle and transferring that into your real job?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your new job.
And Baz says, "G'day guys, what a great weekend, and thanks again, mate.
Thank you, mate.
You are more than welcome.
Appreciate it.
I guess thank you. In particular yourself and Christian, who I guess are part of this Melbourne community and helping. To be welcoming and inviting, and with that pay it forward approach that you guys do to grow our community locally, it's greatly appreciated, mate. So Noel says thank you, and thank you for the time and expertise on these Sunday calls, mate. You're more than welcome. I guess it's quite fun coming on here. It's a little bit weird talking to a screen and nobody talking back, so we really need you guys to be tapping away on those keys to feel like we're getting the love. We can see the eyeballs out there, but we can't until you talk to us. It's kind of lonely.
And I want to say thank you good on you, Rob, too, because it took you a while to get these going way back when, but now look at them. I mean, you love doing it. Not only do you love doing it, I mean, clearly your audience loves the value that you're offering. We've got heaps of people on at this time of night. Perhaps this could be the time. I mean, obviously you need to work it out on the home front. I'll let you take care of that. But this looks like it's a great time of the day, of the evening on a Sunday night. There's plenty of people here interested to learn more about property development. So good on you, mate, and keep it up. Clearly,
no worries.
It's going well.
And Emily, we didn't see you at our weekend, but good to see that you're reaching out to Deb and Baz.
And the Melbournians,
so Emily is a regular at our events now. A recent convert, but I think a long-term convert from my understanding. So. Had a very interesting experience with Emily a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So she was in Brisbane, on another course over and above ours.
Yes.
We're not the only course out there, so
Yes.
good on you, Emily, for pursuing that.
Yep.
And we caught up for lunch, and we spent a little bit too much time yapping, and she missed the plane.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden she was crashing in my spare room, whether she wanted to or not, because she had to get had to get home. So I guess I apologise for you missing the plane, but I hope I made it up to you by getting you to the airport the next morning at 5 a.m.
Well, it sounds like it was a great afternoon, mate.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very good.
So Noel says, appreciate Baz and Christian. 8 p.m. is great. Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. Normally it's 5, but let's see what's happening. And Baz says, anytime, both your commitment is unmatched.
Thank you, mate.
And big thanks to Emily. So,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
well, I'm mindful of the fact that we've probably got about 5 minutes before they're going to call our flight, and we haven't gotten through security just yet.
Emily's having a laugh.
Any last minute questions? Helen Foreman.
Hello,
Oh my
Helen.
goodness. Hello, Helen.
Helen.
So Helen is
In
I guess-
Florida. Look, she's from
Helen
Florida.
is one of our, I guess, long-time members from our Brisbane community who, I guess, has achieved her financial freedom and is sailing around the Bahamas for 2 years and made it to Florida. So I didn't know that you were that far around. I keep seeing, I guess, the family just jumping off of boats and snorkeling and doing all sorts of stuff. So it's a tough life.
What
right?
was there was wasn't there a cyclone or a hurricane in Florida? Perhaps Helen will be able to tell us. So hopefully you're safe. Enjoying the life. Yeah.
All
It's
good.
great, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You've gone global, Rob. Hey, this is fantastic. You have gone global. Hey, that was the aspiration. So
Yeah.
there we go. Mission accomplished.
Okay, well, folks, I guess any questions at all that we've got on the topic of, I guess, having property development as a side hustle would be greatly appreciated. And
One of the
remember,
things. Oh, sorry, you go.
I was going to say, no matter where you start, you're going to start with your first deal. And every property developer on earth had to start with their first deal. And most of them started by doing it part-time. I'm going to say 95% of them started by doing it part-time, and many of us aren't fortunate enough to have somebody else actually employ us in their business. So that side hustle part of the journey is really important.
Yeah, and one of the other things I'd say is that you need to also consider those around you, because if you're going to do a side hustle, that means you're going to have less time with your loved ones, and they aren't easy conversations again, so you need to have those open and honest conversations. I remember having a conversation with my wife that went along the lines of, I'm going to spend less time with you to spend more time with you. That conversation took about a month, and it wasn't as calm as what I just described it to you then, but you've got to have these sorts of conversations because they're real, and you need the whole team, that is your close network of people on board, supporting you through what can be a challenging journey as you're doing both your day job and your side hustle.
Absolutely. And Helen has said she was visiting the Florida theme parks and missed the hurricane, so that's good to hear.
Good news.
That's good news. So say hi to Rich and the girls. I guess we miss you guys, and we can't wait for your 2 years to be over so you can come back and I guess share the love back to us, because we've been missing you guys. So.
I think the other thing too with the side hustle, Rob, is to be patient about it. One of the key things, and I'll share this with everyone from a first-hand experience, is you want to ensure that you've got your serviceability sorted out.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's one of the challenges that I go through on a daily basis, but you want to ensure that you've got your serviceability sorted out before you go and jump ship. It's critical.
Absolutely. I've seen a number of people jump out of a day job thinking that they want to go full-time property development, and they didn't go and get all their pre-approvals in place for their loans and that sort of thing, and then when they went to get a loan, they couldn't do it. So absolutely, you want to plan that exit and transition from one to the other, and you want to use that serviceability while you have that regular stable income to, I guess, guarantee your loan so that when you transition, you can actually do that.
Correct.
That said, things can be done when you've got little to no money as well, but it is just that little bit harder. So you want to try and make it as easy as humanly possible.
Yeah, and that's right. And so I am doing it, but I'm paying a higher interest rate, I'm capitalising interest, all those types of things. So that's how I'm able to do it. But if I had my time over, I would do it very differently, and I would do it by ensuring that I had all the serviceability and bits and pieces lined up beforehand and do it in a more methodical fashion. But here's the thing, I've done it, right? So I'm in it, living and breathing it, and making a real fist of it.
And once you pulled the pin, you can't be half pregnant. You
Keep looking that way. Keep looking in a forward direction.
You go all in. So, I think this is the Brisbane flight. So
That's us.
unfortunately, folks, that is us for now. So it's been
It's been fun.
fantastic.
It's been great. Thank you.
I think Tony and I are both going to crash on the plane on the way home. But I know I want it. Like physically, I'm exhausted, but mentally, I'm pumped. So I don't think I'm going to be sleeping for a little bit a while, mate.
Okay,
So,
all right.
and Baz says safe flight. So thank you, mate.
Thank
we
you, mate.
appreciate
Thank
that.
you, and thank you everybody for joining on a Sunday night. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it.
No worries. So
Thank you.
Bye, folks.
Bye, guys.